Okay, part 2 of aligning your material for your 6550 laser. So the last one we did were the squares and rectangles, whatever, and pretty much all the same concept for all of them. And so I'm going to show you 2 ways, and I'm going to show you a circle. And actually the circle is a little easier. So let's just say I wanted to laser on this, or I wanted to laser on this. And yes, I did this on my CNC machine. I know, it looks good, just saying. But anyway, so let's start with this one first. So it's the same concept. The only difference is we don't want a laser in here. So we're going to create a rectangle, and let me rephrase that. We're going to create a rectangle of our laser area that we want to do. Or we can create a complete rectangle and then a rectangle for this, which will be our Nono area. So just real quick, let's go through it. The first thing we're going to do is measure the size of it. And remember, it's going to be where you're going to place it as well. So for this, let's just say, for example, I just want to burn something in here. I don't want to burn all of this. I'm going to say my measurement's going to be 3.5. The shortest point is probably 3.5 inches. So I do not want to go any more than 3.5 inches, or I'm going to go right into the frame. So I don't want to do that. And you can do whatever size you want, however you want to do it. But I would definitely choose the area that you can work within. So that's 3.5 inches. And the height is, we'll say 6 inches, 6.25 inches. So we're going to go 3.5 by 6.25. And so let's do that first. So over with the software, we'll create a rectangle. Again, we will unlock it. The width is 3.5 and the height is 6.25. So that is my working area. Again, we're going to select, go up to a range, move selected objects to lower left. Then we're going to select the zoom frame, and this will be our working area. So I guess the best way to figure to line this up would be to, again, come over to your layers, and we're going to double click reset to default. We're going to call this frame, speed 100, and power 1. Geez, I'm way off, aren't I? 100 and power 1. And then click OK. So what basically we did now is we created a frame, again, of what we're going to burn and only within that area. So again, what I would recommend would be to put your board on here, however you see fit. Mine is pretty square right there. And then what we will do is turn on the machine and roughly move it over to approximately where we're going to want to burn it. I would say, now me personally, I would move it to the leftmost area, just so I'm close, and over to the software. Again, if you do not have this fire button, you will go up to Edit and go down to Device Settings and Enable Laser Fire button right here. You'll just turn that on. And then we're going to click Fire, and as you can see, I'm pretty close. I'm going to come over a little bit just so I know that's pretty close where I'm going to be. So I'm going to turn the fire back off because I don't want to do anything to the wood, even though 1% probably won't. But now that it's on, I'm going to right click on devices, and it's going to disconnect and reconnect. And now it's going to think, if I go get position, that I am at the leftmost corner of my drawing, the 0.0, and I'm going to click set origin. So let me come up here to zoom this in. If you notice now that I am probably about up here. Actually, my laser is roughly about up here. So I'm actually going to click fire again, and I'm going to just move it down. I'm not going to move it left and right. I'm not going to move it by the y-axis. I'm going to move it by the x. I'm sorry, not by the x, by the y. And I'm going to move it down roughly to where I measured, approximately right about there, and I'm going to turn it off. So now what we're going to do is we're going to run the machine at only 1% power. So again, it's not going to do anything but just pretty much highlight the square for you to show you exactly where it thinks you want to burn within this frame. So I'm going to click go. And if you're watching the laser, you can see that it is almost perfectly framed of my burning area. It's a little bit in from the left, from the right. And I show you something else you can do. If you click this and you go arrange, move laser to the center, or however you want to do it. I'm just going to say the lower right of the selection. So it's moving to the laser over to right down here. And once I come and click fire, I can see on the board, as you can see now, that's where the machine thinks the left corner is. Well, I want it over a little bit more. Not much, but just a little bit, just a little more. And it doesn't know that I'm moving it. So just a little bit. So now I'm going to turn the fire off. I'm going to tell it to go to origin, which is going to go back to our home position. And then we're going to click start and run it again, just so we can just watch the frame. That's it. So now I know that the software knows exactly where I want to cut this out. As you can see, it's going right around. So anything that I create now within that frame, within this frame here, is going to stay within my boundaries. So that's basically how I would do that with this. So let's just say real quick, let's start over. Let's just move the machine back over here. Let's move it up out of the way. And let's just say you want to laser all around this. So easy to do. Here's the way to do it. Let's measure the entire thing, which is 8.5 exactly by 6.5 exactly. So let's create that. Let's create a rectangle. Width is 8.5. I'm not doing good today. And the height is 6.5. So that is our exact frame. So we're going to select it. We're going to select. We're going to go select it, go to arrange, move select the objects to the lower left. It's down here, and then we're going to zoom in. So we know that there's a heart in here. And the easiest way that I would say to do the heart would be measure the exact dimensions of the heart. So the heart that we do not want to go in here is 4 inches gets me just close enough where I'm not going to hit it. So I'm going to say 4 inches wide by get the highest point. Actually 4 by 4 by 4 inches. So 4 by 4. So that would be the easiest thing to do. So let's go create another rectangle inside of this one, 4 inches by 4 inches. And then I'm going to lock it. Now I'm going to choose my select cursor. So it looks like it's centered on the board. So what I'm going to do is click this rectangle first and then click the larger rectangle second. And I missed it, second. And then I'm going to go to arrange and I'm going to go to align, H center. So that's going to align it up and top center, so it is dead center of this. And another easy thing, so now we know we don't want to go above, we don't want to go below this or this, but how far can we come over? So just for the heck of it, we can measure in, we are about 3/4 of an inch. I would say, it's pretty close here. What's that, 1 inch? No more than, let's just say 1/2 inch. So we want to move this 1/2 inch off of this wall. So let's move it. Align, move selected object to the left. So now it's all the way to the left. So as you can see, if I click this, I'm going to click this center up here. The Y position is this much up, but my X position, I want to move it 1/2 inch over. So I'm going to choose 0.5, click tab. Now it's 1/2 inch off of the wall. So technically, looking over here again, this is not going to get burned. This is within the square. Now you might be able to come in a little bit up top or a little bit here, because the square is going to be here. But for the most part, to stay out of that square. And the easiest way to know that is to, first off, do this rectangle like we did earlier to make sure we have the whole thing, the laser knows where it's at. So the easiest thing to do is take this and we'll put it on its own layer. Let's just say 2. And let's double click on it. Let's do reset the default. We're just going to call this Nono. And we're going to do 100 speed and 1 power. And then click OK. So when the laser runs, this is going to tell us where we absolutely will not burn within. So to do that, we have to line this part up first, which is really easy, just like we did before. Let's move the laser. It thinks it's always to the bottom left. So let's move our laser to the bottom left of the board. And I do not have it centered. Pretty easy to do. So once you do this part, the center one's easy. I'm going to click fire. As you can see, I'm way off. And that is pretty darn close. So now it thinks that I am right on the bottom left part of that. So I'm just going to, before I tell it to go, I'm going to make sure everything's good. We don't want to run the no-no. We just want to run the frame. So let's run it and let's see what we get. Oh, I'm sorry. We need to set our origin. And now that we did that, make sure it's at the bottom left here, and then we'll click start. And as you can see, the laser is running along the frame, and that's telling us that the laser and the software and yourself knows exactly where you want to be. Now it is a little bit up, and it's a little bit to the right. So as you can see, I'm off a little bit. So it's really simple. You just come back to the software, click fire, and you can just move it a tad, just a little bit. Just right there maybe. Turn the fire off, and then run it again. And this one should be pretty darn close. So now that, as you can see, the software, the laser, yourself is all lined up, it's right on that top edge. And you could actually shrink down your rectangle, 1/7 of an inch or whatever. So now that we know that, let's see how good this was. Let's go back to our layers. Let's turn off the output for the frame because we don't want to run that. And we want to turn on the no-no. So now what we are looking for is this laser to run around that heart. So let's click run. Oh, yeah, let's click run. And I'm not sure why it thinks it's out of bounds, but let's say yes. So now if you're watching, this laser is going right around that heart. Pretty darn good. Now as you can see, when the laser went up in here, you can do a little bit more in here, but so now looking at your screen here, there's different things you can do to understand that you do not want to put anything in this square. And maybe something you could do would be come to the no-no, turn off the thing, or turn off the output, and choose it to fill. And just so it's blanked out so that you do not want to put anything in there. So any designs that you want to put, it'll burn. And just remember that it's a heart. So you could actually come in here a little bit if you wanted to. If you want to do any designs, you could probably come in a little bit, but not much. But I think you kind of get the idea now. The concept of this is you created a working frame. You cannot go outside that frame. And then you also created I call a no-no area. I don't know what you want to call it, but I call it a no-no area that you do not want to burn in. Understanding that you could come a little bit here or a little bit here, but anything you put in these areas here will burn perfectly on your frame or on your on your picture frame, and hopefully that'll kind of give you an idea how to do it two different ways. So real quick, I will show you. Let's start over. If we were doing something like this, so I'm going to move my laser out of the way. So obviously we're going to start over, and let's say you wanted to burn this. Same exact thing, exact concept for all the things that I do. You got to get this square, which ought to be, let's see if I put it right up to the lines here, it should be pretty close. But same thing I did with the picture frame. I measured my areas that I only wanted laser within. So I'm going to find my shortest points here and here, and then here and here, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to measure my shortest areas here, which is 3 3/4, 3 3/4, and then my shortest area here is 13 1/2. So what I would do in this instance is create a rectangle. Oh, let's take this to line, and we will make it, the width is 13 3/4 by, what did I say? 3 3/4? Yeah, 3 3/4. 3 3/4, 3.75. So, click select. I'm going to come up here. And so now, this will be my working area that I'm going to work. And this is going to be a little bit trickier to line up. If you click on that and click on your frame, come down to, well, first thing we want to do is click on the frame, double click up here, reset the default. We're going to call this frame and 101 power. And so now let's move this to the bottom left, and then click this, and this is our working area. So for this example, it's going to probably be a little bit more moving the laser around, because you're going to have, it shouldn't be too bad, but you're going to have different areas. So the easiest way I would do it would be to find the shortest point here and point here, not all the way here, because we know our square is not going to come all the way here, but it's going to be pretty close. You know, move it over and come over to move, fire it up, and you can kind of get, like, you move up there, kind of get pretty close where you think it might be the corner there, just a rough. Turn the fire off, and then we're going to set origin, and it thinks it's at 0. And, you know, just to be sure, again, if you want to move up a little bit, come back to go to origin, should go right back to where it's at, click fire. We see the lasers where we want it, turn that off. And then for this example, we can run it and kind of see where it goes. I'll go ahead and run it real quick and see what it does. So as you can see, we're up pretty far, so it looks like I'm up too far, but I'm not on the line. Should be pretty close here. It's good, good, good. And I'm up way too far, as you can see, way too far. So if I had burnt this, I would be all wrong. So, and it's way too far that way. So in this instance, I will push fire, come down quite a bit, and come over quite a bit. Not quite a bit, but a little bit. And then click start again. Kind of give you an idea. I think I have my measurement wrong, but it's pretty close now. It's pretty good. It's perfect there. It's pretty close there. So I think what I'm going to do is resize my box. So this is a great example for you to see. I have my measurements wrong. Not sure how, but I have them wrong. I must not have went to my shortest point. It's actually 3 1/2, not 3 3/4, and that's why. And I'm going to go with the same thing this way. And that's why, yeah, 3 1/2 now. That's why. So the best thing to do is to come back to the software, click on your box. Make sure this area here is on the lower left, because we want to resize it down. And we want to come back here and we want to change it to 3.5 by 3.5. We probably should lock it. I'm sorry, 13.5 by 3.5. So now that we've shrunk it down, we put it here. Now it should be a lot better. So let's go ahead and run it again and see where that puts us now. It is really good. Not too close to the line. right up against it, maybe a little too close there. Pretty good there. So it looks like the Y is perfect. The H is really, really tight. So what I could do, if I wanted to, would be to shrink down my rectangle a little bit and maybe move the laser until it's perfect. But as you can see, I'm going to speed this up real quick. As you can see, watching the laser, it is pretty darn good. So now I know that's the area that I'm going to be cutting, lasering, and the laser knows right where I want it to be. So now on my software, I am going to simply, again, work within that rectangle. And that's just going to make life easy for me, knowing I'm not going to go outside of it. So one more is going to do a circle. I'm going to pause this. I'll be right back. Okay, so the last one, and believe it or not, it's actually the easiest, is a circle. So I'm going to do a really cool project with this. I'm just flipping the corner if I should do it on my CNC or laser. Probably do it on laser. But anyway, you have to find the center of the circle. And I would not recommend trying to do this by corners like that. Any type of round products, I would definitely recommend finding the center and doing it that way. So I found the center of this, and I'm going to pull up on my screen here, and I'll put it. I'll do a link in the comments of this path or this site, sorry, on how to find the center of a circle, and that's basically it. It tells you how to do it, and it does work. It's not the easiest, but it does work. It works pretty well. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So let's say you want to do this. How do you find it? Really, really simple. You got to find the center of the circle, and let's put it here. Again, wherever you would put it. Let me change that around. I have my side rails, but I'm just going to, for example, first just place it anywhere on the board, and that's where we want to burn it. So what you want to do is turn your laser on and move your laser to what you feel is probably the leftmost corner. There and there. Nothing perfect, just close. No big deal. So in our software, there's a couple things we're going to do here. First, let's measure the laser area that we will laser in. And this happens to be 17.5 inches exactly. So it's actually 18 inches round, but the area I'm going to work within is 17.5 inches. And so let's create a circle, 17.5 inches. We're going to unlock it. We're going to do 17.5, 17.5. And we're going to click select, and then we're going to go arrange, move object to lower left. And then we're going to click our zoom to frame selection, and this is supposedly our circle. So let's choose choose this layer. Let's do reset the default. Come here, and we're going to call it circle. Speed, I'm going to say 110, power 1, and click OK. So this is where we think, well, so let me rephrase that. This is the area we're going to work in. And how I'm going to do this with the with any type of round objects is it's actually pretty easy. So again, move your laser roughly where you think is the corner area of it. And then we're going to come down here. I like to right click. I'm just going to disconnect, ready, set it all back up. We are going to go to move, get position should be 0, and we're going to set that as an origin right now. So the first thing we want to do is come down here, and job origin is going to be dead center. So when we burn a circle, we don't want to burn, or we don't want to measure down, up, left, right, anything. We want to start it completely from the circle. We want to find dead center and tell the software we want to do everything from the center of this board. We want to burn it. We want to do everything from there. If you notice, let me click zoom in, the laser, the software thinks the laser is down here, and it is. We don't know where, but it just is. But we want the laser in dead center of this board. So let's click the circle, and then we're going to go to arrange, and we're going to go move laser to selection center. And if you notice, the laser moves over, but it still has no idea where it's at, but we will. So once it's there, again, let's click fire, and we're going to move the laser to the dead center of the board. Our marking that we found, the dead center of the board is right there. And now we're going to turn the fire off. So now the software thinks the laser is dead center of the board, which we know that it is. And this is the perimeter that we want to cut. We've told it to, let me rephrase that. We have to click set origin. Once you find the center of the board, you have to click choose set origin. We want to tell the job that we're going to be working from the center of the board, and then we want to start from user origin. So our software knows that we are starting from the center, where the laser's in the center, and that's where we're going to go. So in this situation, there is one thing, before we go, there is one thing I want to mention. If you go up to edit and you go down to device settings, it says return to finished position. And what that means is when the software is done, it's going to return back down here, all the way back down here. So remember when we had it over here, if you're looking at the laser, we had it all the way over here, it's going to come back here. So just make sure that that was not too far, because you don't want it to come over here and then jump your belts or whatever. And to be careful on these, what I like to do, just to be sure, is to turn that off. You turn this off to return to finished position, and you don't have to worry about where that laser head's going to return to, because we're just picking a random spot. So return to position is off. So now when it's done, it's actually just, whenever it's done, it's just going to stop right there. Because we don't have this in set position, we don't have everything all perfect, it's just going to go within that circle, and we want to stay there. So when we come back here, we're doing 110, 1. We are going to start from the center, and we're going to have the laser run in this circle. So again, what I like to do is, let's move up, just say 2 inches, and we're going to tell the machine go back to origin, and I'm going to turn the fire on, and I am dead center where I want to be, as far as I can see. And so turn the fire off, and we will start it to run around at 110 speed, that circle, and see where it gets us. So click start, and if you see the laser, I am running dead on the area where I want to run around. It's pretty darn good. Actually, that's pretty perfect, I have to say. Right on it. All the way around. And if it's off a little bit, you just maybe off your center a little bit. No big deal, you just move it when it's done. But right over here, wire. And if you notice, it stopped. It did not return to this position, and that's important because I'm not sure exactly where it thinks its home is. So I don't want it to do that. I only want it to come back to here. So when it's done, we can come back and go to origin, and it should return right to the center again. And that's pretty much it. That's all there is to it. You can do that with any circle, any plate, anything you want to do. Anything you work with inside this circle is going to be in there. You already told the machine to run this frame. So just don't forget to turn your output off of this circle, and just know that anything you do needs to be within this and right up to the edge. And that's pretty much it. I hope that helps everyone. That's my foolproof way of always knowing exactly where I'm going to burn and how I get everything lined up perfect. So I hope that helps, and I will catch you on the next video.